Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight, this is not going to be a standalone video, but I wanted to include this into today's video because we did talk about the Peter Veliki yesterday and how it can theoretically not be overmatched by a Yamato. And I made the observation that the upper belt may be overmatchable by Yamato, so today we're going to test it. Thankfully, we can do this under controlled circumstances in training room. So that's what we're going to do. So obviously the first shot's going to go for the belt all the way down here at the waterline. This should do nothing. But you can see we absolutely did damage. Why is that? Because look at where the shells hit that actually pinned. Up here. Okay? Down here, none of these shells went through. But this shell absolutely did, or two shells absolutely did. As the ship went down in the water when I fired, it did no damage, or like it did do damage. So this upper bow plating, as I suspected, is 32 millimeters or less, meaning that it is absolutely overmatchable by Yamato. Now we'll wait till the ship comes out of the water a little bit more here, and then we'll take a shot down into the bow plating. You can see 5 ricochets, absolutely no damage, right? Now, the next shot we're going to shoot up here. And again, this is my area of observation where I said I'm pretty confident that this is 32 mil and not 33 mil. If it's 33 mil, we don't go through it. But since we already have some damage because of a couple stray shells managed to find their way up into it, I'm going to expect this to be pretty brutal. And as you, well, we only got one. We only got one. But you can see most of those still went down. I'm aiming up here, but this is World of RNG after all. We need them to actually hit high enough to do something. So give us a second, we'll fire another shot just to check. Yeah, we still got one, but actually, it isn't the bow that's being overmatched. It's actually shells straying off to the side and going through the casemate. Because you can see where that penetration actually ended up. So, while it's not overmatchable, it is exploitable. Okay, so this is 33. Okay. I thought that we were going through the front, but it appears that we are actually going through the side. So if I shoot over here, for instance... Yeah, you can see that we can... Well, that one went all the way up there. But if we can hit into these guns into the casemates, we actually pin them and do damage that way. Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. But this is what we talk about when we say, like, shell catchers. Even if you're relatively well angled, like, you could still have these little moments that actually are able to catch shells. You can see 4 shells straight through there. And we've almost killed this thing. But... apparently, 33 millimeters of upper bow plating on this thing, because if it was anything less, we'd be able to go straight through like butter. And as we've seen, that hasn't been the case. Get it? Casemate? Yeah, anyway. But, yeah, you can see all those shells, none of them do damage. The ones that pin are the outliers that go outside and hit the casemates. So that's a cool thing. The more you know. But this is why I like having training rooms available. No more do we have to guess, right? Our armor viewer kind of sucks. It doesn't give us the option to really know what it is. It just kind of gives us ranges. So we see the lighter and we know that it's anywhere up to 33 millimeters. But it's clearly 33 millimeters. Because if it was anything less, then we'd be able to overmatch straight through the bow, which we clearly cannot. But that was a fun little test session, and yeah, again, not a standalone video, but we did mention it, and I wanted to put it into the reality, so we tested it real quick for you guys. And yeah, with that being said, let's return to our regularly scheduled program. Oops. Too far. And that is that we're going to be playing the Yuga today. We are running the Borg Queen as commander. We got Azure Lane, Colorado, Andrew Cunningham as inspirations. We have Flambeau Cannoneer, Gyrating Drill Bits, Master Mechanic, and High Octane Warrior, with Fight Fire with Fire as our commander perks. We are running Aiming Systems Mod 1, and we are running Steering Gears Mod 2. As far as everything else, there really isn't a whole lot to go over with this thing. The big gimmick of this is that it has the main battery reload booster, and then of course with the Bork Queen we actually get extra heals. But as you can see, I don't really play this ship a whole lot. 86% win rate speaks for itself. As a battleship, that is absurd that this thing has been able to be as busted as it is for so long. Again, this is a ship that absolutely should have been nerfed by now, but they haven't touched it. And while everybody will yell at me and be like, Spartan, why are you crying about another ship that's OP? You can't get it you're gonna get it nerfed. Wargaming doesn't care what I think about the balance of ships, let's be real. But it is kind of funny that you can have an 86% win rate over a not insignificant number of battles. 50 battles in a ship is more than enough to start losing battles, and yet here we are with an 86% win rate. This is higher than even most of my destroyers. Put that into perspective. Destroyers have a higher impact on the game than any other class, period. And yet I have an 86% win rate through 50 games on the Yuga. It's kind of cracked, all right? But anyway, the armor isn't all that great. It's basically a Fuso outside of that. So you can be overmatched at the tier, obviously, with 26 mil. Anything 15 inches and above goes through the bow. It does have gigantic torpedo blisters, which does, like the Arizona, kind of hide the fact that this thing can angle pretty well. It's a little bit thicker torpedo blister as well, which means you can angle even the torpedo blister, but that inside armor belt is pretty nice as well. But if you get rid of that armor belt, you can see that it does have a bit of a raised citadel, as you'd expect. It's not a hugely raised citadel, and it doesn't suffer the same problem that the Fuso has, where it has a gigantic citadel by the rear turrets. It's still raised up, but it's very small compared. And that armor belt does actually protect it pretty well. I totally clicked the wrong one. The armor belt actually protects it pretty well. So if you angle this thing, you can make people look silly, okay? But as far as everything else goes, you guys know what this ship is. So without further ado, let's get this party started. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Mountain Range in the Yuga. And we're going to showcase just how absolutely busted this ship is. And I know the damage total at the end isn't going to like look all that impressive, because it really isn't. But when you consider all of the I ended up being able to shoot at, I think it's more, a little bit more impressive. But anyway, with that being said, we are going to stand alone over here on the right flank. What do I mean by that? I mean, there's going to be moments where I ask for support and get absolutely none, and I'm going to have to single-handedly take on the entire right half of this map, essentially by myself. It sounds like a daunting task, but we're up to it, because as we've already discussed, the Yuga is kind of busted. And again, this is one of those ships that it blows my mind. Because from day one, everybody has talked about how busted this ship is. I'm not the only one. A lot of people will blame me if this thing ends up getting a nerf. But people will blame me. But at the end of the day, this thing's been around a long time. And from day one, people have talked to how busted this ship actually is. It's just a better Fuso with a reload booster. What more could you ask for? The Fuso is not a bad ship to begin with. It can be a little trolly with the Japanese battleship dispersion. But it's still a good ship. Unless you get caught broadside and somebody knows to aim further back on the ship. But I digress. We have a Gneiseno who is coming forward. Now, this Gneiseno is going to be shooting AG, which is hilarious. And he's going to be absolutely a Gneiseno and miss like every single shot he takes. And then we have a Belarus over here as well, and there's a Yuga heading this direction, so we have to keep an eye on that. Plus, unbeknownst to me at this point, there's actually 2 enemy destroyers on this flank of the map, which I will have to find out later. Anybody want to take any guesses to how that ends up? I'm in a big, well, not really slow, big fat battleship, and a couple of destroyers get to just walk around willy-nilly with no real counters, and yeah, we'll see how that goes for them. Anyway, Gnaizeno is about to come around the corner. We've already taken a couple of chip shots off of him, but just as we go to take another shot, he disappears. This is why sometimes I rush these shots, because of that moment like that. And then, of course, he reappears immediately, but it doesn't matter. We do get a nice little chunk damage there. Still paying attention to the Yuga out there. We're still looking at that Belarus. We don't want to get caught too much. You can see this Gnaizeno. If this isn't a perfect example of why you don't shoot HE out of a battleship like the Gnaizeno, like this should tell you everything you need to know. This man has fired, what, 3-4 salvos at me? He's done 0 damage. He's hit me with a couple of shells, but he's done no damage because he's hit AA modules, secondary guns, whatever, and he's done no damage. That's why I try to tell people that 99% of the time, there are some outliers, but 99% of the time in a battleship, you just shoot AP. It's going to be a better option most of the time. And just as we use our reload booster, okay, well, we got him back. But unfortunately, we have gotten closer to the island, which means most of our shells are not going to hit. But the rear guns are looking pretty good, and he gets away with it. Of course he does. Never punished for being broadside as crap and ignoring the fact that you're getting shot at by somebody who actually knows what they're doing. But yeah, what do I know? But you'll see in a moment that my steward has decided he wants to f*** off. He's currently full health, but something happens between now and then when I look at him again, because he'll be almost no health. And while up to this point he has done some spotting, so I can't complain too much. You can see Gnaizeno has no intention of YOLO rushing me for some reason. I can't explain that, but whatever. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. If a Gnaizeno decides he wants to run away from a Tier 5 battleship, who am I to argue? But either way, we are waiting for somebody to get spotted, and it just never materializes. Belarus manages to get around the corner before I can see him, and you can see, suddenly this guy's half health. What happened to him? He must have gotten spotted and gotten shot by the Belarus or something, because I honestly have no idea. But at first I thought, I'm going to go forward. I know the destroyer's here. We know at least one of the destroyers was spotted over here to Charlie Cap and is coming around the right front of my ship because there's nobody else that has a line of sight on me, right? So we know that there's a destroyer out in front of me. So that's why I don't want to sit here. I want to be able to stop them from getting behind me. So I want to pinch them up against the border if I can, or at least keep them on their toes up close and personal. And you can see that there is a second destroyer currently lit up, I believe, on the mini-map right now. And you can see here's a nice widespread triple launch torp tube, and I'm like, interesting. But we take one hit, does almost no damage. Right there, that tells me that it's the Pan-Euro destroyer that hit me, because they have torpedoes that literally do basically no damage. Now, the Yuga is coming back, which is a little bit terrifying when I know I'm about to get into a fight with destroyers, because I can't afford to angle against the battleship at the same time I'm trying to dodge a bunch of torpedoes from what we know is 2 destroyers. Well, I don't know it's 2 destroyers. I thought that other ship that was spotted on the minimap was a destroyer at the time, but I was wrong. But it'll be painfully obvious real soon that there are 2 destroyers here, and you can see Yuga takes a shot at me. He gets 1 pin. I get 2 overpins. It basically evens out, and then Tashkent makes the mistake, and this guy has 20,000 hit points in a destroyer, and he's about to use them all. This is unbelievably bad destroyer play. You have every ability in this engagement to keep yourself out of trouble, and this is what you do with it. And so we get a shot. Japanese battleship dispersion does what it does, where it's just like, yeah, we could shoot at the enemy, or we could shoot everybody everywhere else and make it look like everybody's drunk. But we do manage to hit him with 3 shells, which is basically tickling that little 20,000 hit point destroyer. And then he decides once again to come over and fight me directly. And then there's the second set of torpedoes. So now we know both the destroyers are over here. Fun, right? So now not only am I trying to get rid of this destroyer, but we know that there's a second destroyer. But you'll notice I do have my reload booster ready, and we get a really good result here out of the rear guns, and we're going to load up some high explosive. Again, I shoot AP because that's what I need for most engagements, but if you are shooting at a destroyer and you have the option to change ammo types, it absolutely is the better choice. But, of course, we can't kill him, so we have to spend an extra gun, but we get a very fantastic result out of the rear turrets. 7 hits with HE, and that man's still alive with only 10,000 hit points to start with. Ain't that a bite in the backside? It really is. But you can see I end up border humping here because I knew that the guy was going to shoot me. If I turned in there, I'm raising my citadel, making it much easier for that enemy Yuga to get rid of me. So this is one of those tactical border humpings that we all know and love, aka the T-Ball Shuffle. Shout out to T-Ball, miss you, dude. But we get a good shot here, destroy torp tube, break the other one, and manage to leave him, of course, with just enough to get away, which is highly unfortunate. But in true potato destroyer fashion, he just can't figure out that he should have disengaged from this fight, and he's going all in. Now, one thing that you got to know is when I'm on the border like this, my engine power is reduced. What you want to be careful of as a destroyer is not getting sucked into the fact that I'm slowed down right now, and I can speed up very quickly if I come off of the board. And soon as I come off the board, or the border, my engine power is no longer reduced. I'm able to speed up, and so if he didn't lead the torpedoes, assuming that he got more away, I would be able to outrun them a lot easier than you realize. These are things that you learn as the game progresses, but this Yuga and I are about to have an up-close and personal brawl. Now, you already know that the Yuga does have a raised citadel, so this is dangerous. I'm turning towards him, but I also got to try to get angled because I don't want to be the one broadside. And you can see I just plow right through that front cheek. Trying to get as much damage as possible, not expecting citadels. Again, it is a very low citadel, despite it being slightly raised. It's not the easiest to hit, and he was turning away from us, which is actually effectively lowering the citadel into the water, whereas I'm turning towards him, raising the citadel. Now, at this point, I know I'm going to get hit really hard, but I'm just going all in on I'm going to kill him. Right, and we do in fact kill him, but of course we get hit really hard. He does actually citadel us as well, but at the end of the day, I knew that I was most likely going to come out on top of that engagement, so I was okay with taking the damage. There's only one ship left. I've got an island between us. I'm not likely to die most of the time. I had more hit points than him because I had a better opening salvo, so when we were in that fight, it was pretty easy that I was going to come out on top. And then, of course, we get this shot. Front guns get around the island first. Rear turrets, of course, make it around the island, and we use the island to break contact, and we no longer have to worry about getting shot back. We get a decent result. The front guns actually hit really nicely. The rear guns didn't do which is real unfortunate, but at the end of the day, 104,000 damage. Not a single friendly ship was lost in this fight, which is hilarious. But also, I was literally by myself on this flank for the entire duration, and while there were a couple of people shooting from distance, I feel like I did the majority of the work over here, especially on the destroyers, and showcasing that this ship is still incredibly busted. We didn't get the huge damage result that we were looking for, but this was literally game one. I just logged on, jumped into Yuga, and said, hey, let's go, and we literally soloed an entire side of the map with 2 destroyers against us. Worst case scenario, right? And still put up 100,000 damage. But we get second on the leaderboard, which is shocking to me. The only thing I can figure is maybe the Polaris ended up getting the base cap or something to give him a little bit of an XP advantage, because surely I did more damage than he did. But and I got to shoot at both the enemy destroyers and do all their damage. So anyway, let me know down in the comments below if you're liking these trip back in time to the lower tier ships. I get told all the time by people that I need to play some lower tier stuff, so that's all I'm doing. I'm jumping back in time, jumping in some older ships, bringing them back, and showcasing them once again on the channel just to kind of remind everybody what they're up about. So if you like what I'm doing, punch a like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.